Shalom and good day, everyone. Coming before you on the Most High all day, for this is His preparation day that we prepare ourselves for His Shabbat, for His Sabbath, for it will be coming in today at sundown. I first want to give honors to our Father who is in heaven, for He is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. His name is YAHUAH, for his name means in Hebrew, I am He who is this. Also giving honors unto His Son, Yahusha HaMashiach, for he is the second Adam, the Messiah slash the anointed one, the left, which means the door of the sheep, and he is the iron, which means he is the fountain of the living waters, and he is the light slash the eye of the body. I also give honors unto our mother in heaven, for the Messiah says this about her, that wisdom shall be justified by her children. Yes, we do have a mother, as well as we do have a father, for what's done in heaven is also done in earth. I also bid a shalom unto the bride of the Messiah, for you are Israelites and Gentiles, males and females, bond and free, circumcised and uncircumcised. All of those who receive Yahusha HaMashiach is of him and of his body. Therefore you are his bride. I bid a shalom unto the 144,000, for you have a special part to play, for you are the elect or the cream of the crop of the nation of Israel, known as Yasharal. For you shall join the Messiah in that day to take down the beast and his kingdom. I also bid a shalom unto the nation of Israel, unto my people, for many still are asleep and don't know who they are. And for those who are awakened, some of y'all hearts are still hardened and you're still in darkness. So I continue to pray for my nation, for soon the word of the Most High shall be fulfilled. The day will come, he will restore you as one nation, as one kingdom of people, and he shall give you a new heart and a new spirit. It is coming. All right. Shalom, y'all. So what you see before you by saying, what in the world is this, Sister Yitia? What kind of picture is this? Okay. This picture right here, where my cursor is, when you facing it to your left, remind me of something that Enoch has written in Second Enoch, where he's giving you the inner details of creation. And lately we've been talking about like shapes, geometry, and we look at the shape of the sun and we look at the shape of the moon as well as the shape of the firmament that is around the earth. We see what? Circles, spheres, balls, disc, orbits, etc. So, y'all, I came across a very interesting article. Okay. Let me first go to the article first. And the title of this article was Astronomers Spy First Moon Forming Disk Around an Exoplanet. Basically, they was looking at the heavens, y'all, and they found a moon being formed within a disk, within a circle. And I want you to take a look at these pictures because Enoch talk about this. This was done in the beginning, when you look at creation and you begin to understand the Most High mind and how He did things. Okay, we'll come back out of here. Let me see. Can I scroll down? Like this picture here. I'm gonna close this one out, and we're gonna open up this picture here. Do y'all see that circle that is going around a moon? A moon is being formed within this circle. And you notice this circle is made of light. Now, those who have not been in Second Enoch, I do highly recommend that you start reading Second Enoch because the Father revealed something to me when I was going back in that book again, reading about what He did in creation. And many of us are coming in the mindset of a carnal mindset, and we got to put that carnal mindset aside. We have to what? Meditate, pray, and fast on the living word, on these sacred scriptures. And the Most High revealed something unto me when He made the first day. And Enoch give you the inner details. And when I saw this picture, y'all, it reminded me of something. It reminded me of that took place in the first day, how He separated the light from the darkness. I'm not going to go into details in this video because we have a lot of things to talk about as we are reviewing First Enoch chapter 73, looking at the smaller illuminary, which is the smaller light, or the lesser light, which is the moon, the she. Okay. But when you read Second Enoch, if it's my Father will, you will see what I'm talking about. Because we see this again being shown unto us in the heavens, giving us example about how great and amazing our Father is and how He formed things out of the invisible. People don't get it. See, these things were already in existence. See, He already knew it. It was in His mind. And out of the invisible it came to be. Very interesting. Even how He created the water, y'all. It's a great um detail that is revealed by Enoch, how the water is created. And I will give you that nugget now. The water is made from the light and from the darkness. Meditate on that because y'all is going to lead you to understanding about Adam, about the red clay, about melon. Okay. All right. Let me close this picture out. Let me just say that to the side. I'm going to come back to it. But let me backspace here because I want to show y'all this too. But we see this as a common thing with our Father. You know, one of the shapes that He likes, as far as when we look at geometry, is circles. One of the shapes. It's other shapes too. But again, if it's my Father will, it will be discussed. So you can Google this. I just typed in world exoplanet moon disk. Okay. So this is we talking about either planets or moons that they see that's outside of a certain planetary system or outside of a solar system or outside of a solar um planetary system. Okay, so you know they're always looking at the stars, they're always looking at the heavens, and they be finding some amazing things. But we who are the children of light know this: if they would just believe what His prophets wrote unto us, such as Moshe, Enoch, Ezekiel, and many others of the ancient ones that was before us, if they would just learn, well, if they would just what accept it in their hearts and believe it, then they will understand these things that they see before their eyes. Okay, and again, it's amazing how the Father can bring something out of the invisible. And when you understand that, do you understand how the spiritual is connected to the physical? There is a connection there. There is a bond there. Okay? Just like the heavens is connected to the earth. And when you understand that, do you understand there's a spirit for everything? Especially when you look at sickness and mental illness, there's a spirit for that too. So by you knowing this, then you'll know how to fight it. For it takes a spirit for a spirit. For these things cannot be delivered by your carnal, fleshly hands, nor with your carnal mind. It comes from the spirit that has been implanted in you, who is the power of the whole people, as written by Daniel in Daniel chapter 12. It takes the spirit for a spirit. Mysteries. All right, y'all, I'm going to close that out. And I'll put the link of this in the video description box. I'll put the CNN link about it. So you can read about it. But all you have to do is Google it. You can find it written in the New York Times as well as in space.com. So I will do that for you. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way because we will be going some copyright material. Title of this class lesson today is First Enoch chapter 73, and this is part 4. Again, we're going to take our time to go through this chapter. I know this is a short chapter, but this chapter 2 is saying a lot. And the Father shared with me, take your time with this, digest this slowly, because if you don't understand this chapter, nor chapter 72, you're not going to understand the other chapters that come after it. Remember, we got to read line upon line and precept upon precept. Okay. Now let's first go over the date for the day, because many of us are familiar with the heathen's day, Satan's day, such as we know this is Saturday, and the heathens name their days after their gods. They are paganistic, okay? Another word for Saturday in the Latin tongue is Saturnine day, because we know Saturn is, or the planet Saturn, according to them, is really the representation or the symbol of Satan. Okay. Far as their day, we are in their heathen month known as July, and the date is the 24th day of July in the year of 2021 AD. For its time, because the heathens keep daylight savings time, so they're in their 12 o'clock hour time. So it's my time on where I'm at is 12:09 Eastern Standard Time PM. However, according to the true time, we are in the 11 o'clock hour. We're in the 11 o'clock hour, so it's actually 11:09. Okay. Now for our father's date, like I said, big difference. Remember Satan's calendar, which is the Gregorian calendar, which is the Roman calendar known as the fourth beast. Their calendar starts in darkness and ends in darkness. But our Father calendar begins with light and ends with light, for He is the Father of lights. We're in the fourth month of His calendar. We make sure, we're in the fourth month of His calendar. For those who don't understand why we're in the fourth month and not the fifth month, please watch the videos on the channel to get more understanding, because His prophets was given the formulas to let us know when we will add a 13th month. And let me explain this. We're not doing it by our hand. Actually, the heaven is producing a 13th moon. For those who observe the heavens, for those who keep records of the calendar, you will see that. And this is simple math. The moon year has fewer days than the sun year. Okay. Therefore, she will start her year before the sun. And as each year go by, she will start earlier and earlier and earlier. And for those who do not honor the 13th month, what's going to happen with you is that your Peshat is going to start in winter. And if you continue not to follow what the Father has commanded you to follow, it will continue to move from winter to fall to summer, back to spring. And I know some of y'all been lying to the people. And this is why I'm telling you, my brothers and sisters, y'all need to get a copy of their records and check behind them. Because what I noticed that the spirit of pride is upon many. And instead of just being honest and repenting and saying we just made a mistake because we didn't understand it at the time, instead of just coming forth, they better continue in a lie and keep you in darkness. This is why it's written that the Spirit of Yah shall teach you all things. His comforter, which is Yahusha HaMashiach's spirit, he shall teach you all things. This not going to come by man's hand. This come by the Spirit of Yah. Because he has seen the evil intentions, or he has seen their hearts. So this is why when the covenant was reestablished again, which we call what the New Testament or the renewed marriage, when that was established for you, this is why he had put his spirit to be in charge over you instead of a king or a priest. Man would not be over you, no flesh. This come by spirit. Now let's get the date of the Most High calendar. So this is the daylight of the phase today. So we know we're in daylight now. So because we're in daylight, we are on the 14th day of the moon. Okay. And this is Moshe's 25th night on Mount Sinai and 26th daylight. Far as the count to Pentecost, remember wheat is only ripened in summertime. Again, the heavens and the earth go hand in hand. The heavens give you the sign, Israelites and Gentiles, and the earth bring it forth in the physical. Okay, so wheat and the grapes are only ripened in summertime. Remember, you have to bring a new meat offering to the Most High, and that new meat offering is made of wheat and with leaven. Again, he have us to make these things to symbolize what's going to take place unto you, O bride, and 144,000. You got to ask yourself, from Passover, we eat flatbread made with no leaven. Then we transition to the day of Pentecost, of bringing him a new meat offering that's made of wheat and leaven. You ask yourself why. If you understand that mystery, again, the channel have all that information. But the Father need for you to graduate. It's time for you to come up higher with him now. It's time for you to see what he see and hear what he hear. Okay. So this is the 35th day to the count of Pentecost. Far as the phase of the moon is in a full phase today. Okay, so this is the day when she's 100% illuminated. This is the day she would be the brightest she would ever be throughout its month of the fourth month. Okay, and she is full of light. This phase occurred on July the 24th in the year of 2021 AD on the heathen's calendar at 5:36 a.m. in Israel Daylight Savings Time. Far as the date of the sun, remember the sun is different from the moon, okay? So the sun is in its fifth month now, y'all. And it's on its second day. And again, far as the heathen's date, the 14th day of the moon will fall on July the 23rd at sundown, and at July the 24th at sundown. Go back to the foundation. He called the first day evening and morning. Again, this has nothing to do with time. This is dealing with the components of the day, or how can I say this? The phase or the characteristic of the day. When you read Enoch's writings along with um Genesis and other sacred writings, then you begin to understand what the Father saw that day. Remember your Father in heaven is up higher. Y'all trying to base it on 24 hours. And I'm telling y'all in great error. Even the King James 1611 Bible will testify against you on that. And there was codes and messages to give you the time format of creation. You can find it in Genesis chapter 2 and Genesis chapter 5. All right. So now that you have the date, oh yeah, I almost forgot the year. We are in the 8th day from Adam, y'all. The 8th day from Adam. Now the 8th day from Adam starts from the 7,001st year to the 8,000 year. When you convert that from the time of creation, from the first day of creation, we will be in the 13th day from creation. Far as Enoch's 10-week prophecy, we are in the 8th week of Enoch's 10-week prophecy. Again, the Messiah said we should know these sacred things, for we are the children of light, we are his servants, and the Father give his mysteries unto his prophets. All right. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get to the lesson. Okay. So we talked about a lot of things from part 1 to part 3. So today we're going to focus on verse 4. We're going to start at verse 4, and wherever my Father will, we'll stop it according to where he will we can get done today. Okay? But it's a lot of great mysteries and things that was revealed unto us from our Father from heaven above, and please check those videos out. There is a playlist that is put together for you dealing with Yah's family calendar. So it gives you all the videos, all the class sessions we had from the time we started in the year of 2020. We started in the fall of 2020. So there's a playlist put together that's on the channel. I believe it's titled Yah Family Calendar Playlist. So you can get caught up. Because there's a lot of things he revealing unto us. Oh, I just want to mention FYI, when you read Genesis chapter 1, verse 24 through 31, pay very close attention, because when the Father made these things on this day, know what he said? It is good. But on that sixth day, in the English translation, they went an extra mile and put it is very good. So I probably need to update this and put very good, because we got to go back and meditate on this. Why did the Father say it is very good when he said that he is good and there's no one above him that is good, well, let me correct myself. Messiah had told us, call no one good but your Father in heaven above. And when you begin to meditate on these things, you begin to understand why he called whatever he made good. Give you a little hint. All things come from him because he is all and all is in him. And whatever come from him that he made that is obedient to his commandments, to his instructions, to his order is good. Mysteries. All right. Now we're going to look at verse 4 today. Verse 4. I'm reading for you from First Enoch, chapter 73. Far as the book I'm reading from, this coming from the books of Enoch, a complete volume containing the Ethiopic. Let me go back to page 1 so you'll have it. The complete volume containing the Ethiopic book of Enoch, the Nick secrets of Enoch, and the Hebrew book of Enoch. And this was translated or compiled by Joseph B. Lumpkin. So let us look at verse 4. And thus she rises. So right now, this verse is talking about the moon, okay? And thus she rises, and her first phase in the east comes out on the 30th morning. And on that day, she becomes visible and constitutes for you the first phase of the moon on the 30th day, together with the sun in the door where the sun rises. So let's break this verse down. So we know she rises talking about the moon. Okay. So let me put this in here. Because I think most people are not aware how the Father addressed the lights according to a gender, such as the moon is the he, Mazzaroth is a he, the the sun is a he, Mazzaroth is a he, the moon is a she, and the earth is a she. Okay, so let's get that clarified. The moon rises, just like the sun rises, the moon rises too. If you ever seen a moon rise, I highly recommend for you to see one. It's very beautiful to see. So it says that, and her first phase in the east comes out on the 30th morning, and on that day she becomes visible. So the first question you're going to ask yourself, what is that first phase in the east? What is it? I'm going to put a question mark because we got to read the whole verse, because the verse is going to kind of answer itself. What is that first phase that she is in the east? Okay, that's the question you want to ask yourself. Then the next thing is that you want to look at the 30th morning. The 30th morning of what light is that talking about? What is that talking about? Okay, but let us keep reading. And constitute for you the first phase of the moon on the 30th day, together with the sun in the door where the sun rises. Okay, so when she's in this first phase, y'all, she's going to rise together with the sun. Okay, she's going to rise together with the sun on this particular day when she's in her first phase. That's very important to know. And I'm going to highlight this down here because I wrote it down here all the way. It said the first phase of the moon on the 30th day, together with the sun in the door where the sun rises is, okay, so I left that blank. We're going to fill that in. But I want to highlight that because it's giving you a hint about this particular phase. Okay. Let me see where I want to go. Because there is another precept in the same book that's going to clarify some things unto us. Let me see. So while I'm thinking where I want to go to first, the question you want to ask unto yourself, what day is the moon visible? And I need to underline this because this is giving you the first phase of the moon. And in this first phase, she is visible. That means she can be seen in the heavens by our eyes. Israelites, I want you to listen up because there's been a lot of doctrines about what is the beginning of the month. And the Father has given you his prophets. And just as the Messiah said unto that one, no, you have the prophets. So once you reject his prophets, you're going to believe a lie. It's just that simple. Okay? So let us go to First Enoch chapter 78. Let us go there. Because we're going to need one more verse to help y'all out. I know some of y'all may already know the answer about this. But for those who don't, we're going to help them out. Because like I said, when you read all these chapters together, you're going to learn there's precepts to each other and there's line upon line. Line upon line. I'm getting there. Okay. In First Enoch chapter 78, it is written in verse 12, and on the first day she is called the new moon, for on that day the light rises on her. So this verse is giving you a hint about the first phase and what is the sign we look for her when she's in her first phase. Okay? So let me put this here. I'm going to put this on here, first phase, because we asked the question, what is the first phase? Put hint. First Enoch, chapter 78, verse 12. So it's giving us the definition, what is the new moon? Or what is a new moon day? So it's giving us that definition. We'll put that in red. And we're going to underline it. And then it said that on the new moon day is the day that light rises on her. That's your key word. So the only phase that we know when light rises upon her on her first day and for her to be visible, okay, is the new crescent moon. The new crescent moon. Okay? And you can see what I mean because we read somewhere, I can't remember which chapter, Enoch. Enoch give you the direction how the moon travel with the sun on a particular day. And I can't put my mind to it right now or what video that was discussed in, but I do know between first and second Enoch, it tells you, it gives you the phase and the time she's traveling with the sun and the time when she's opposite from the sun. Yeah. And by knowing these things will help you to know where you are in the calendar of the Most High's month. Just by knowing her phases and what position she is from the sun as far as when the sun rises and when the sun sets. Do y'all hear me? When the sun rises and when the sun sets, because automatically what should be coming up in your mind, you should be thinking about east and west and the position of the moon to the sun. Is she with the sun or is she across from the sun? Okay, it will tell you a lot. So when we look at First Enoch chapter 78, verse 12, for her to be a new moon or to this to be a new moon day, light has to rises on her. Now notice this, it don't say full light, it said light had to rises on her. So that first phase that we see, or that first phase that she would be in when she's coming out of the east, would be the new crescent moon. Okay. Now we're going to get more understanding about the 30th day or what light that's talking about. Okay, because I know many of y'all going to run to the full moon. Okay, but if you read, like I said, as we read further down, it's going to clarify to let you know that it's not dealing with the full moon, because I know what y'all looking at. She's coming out of the east. Okay, but as we read further down, or in some other chapters, it will clarify you it's not talking about the full moon. Remember, we got to go line upon line and precept upon precept. So the next question is the 30th morning of what light? The 30th morning of what light? What is this 30th morning is talking about? Because we know the sun have a 30th morning that it rises out of the door. Okay. And then the moon has what? 29 or 30, or should I say 29 and a half, 29 and a half, 29.5, which equals what? 30, or 30th day. Okay. Another way to look at this, well, I'm going to talk about that other way. Let me just go step by step because I want you to get this down first. All right. So right here, we're going to put moon. Okay. Another thing to the way to look at this, what I'm looking at, we know the moon and the sun do not always start on the same day. So there will be some variation. There is a time where the moon and the sun will rise and set together. Well, in other words, they will start their year on the same day. But because the moon has fewer days than the sun, you will start seeing a variation, such as it can be the moon 29th day, and just like I showed in the calendar, it can be the sun's 14th day. So I'm saying, so this is why for this particular verse, when it's talking about the 30th morning, right here, it's dealing with the day of the moon when she comes out. Okay, when she comes out, right? And let me see. I'm going to wait because it's in the next paragraph, but we'll get that verse that's going to give you the breakdown about the 29 and a half. The 29 and a half. Remember, his prophets was given the formulas. Okay. And then the next question you want to ask yourself, well, how she's visible? Because we know what the sun is the greater light, right? Let me type this in here. We know the sun is the greater light. So how will the moon, or I could say new crescent moon, be visible? What happens, y'all, on this day? I'm trying to think that I want to answer it now or come back to it because one of these verses is going to answer it, but I better just give y'all the answer just to keep this smooth and going. Okay. So on this day, the moon is in her first phase, and it's the 30th day, and she's traveling with the sun. So she rises with the sun on this day. Okay. And then she's going to set with the sun on this day. Well, what I mean is she may not set the same time with the sun, but she's going to set in the same direction where the sun set. Okay. So the answer to this is when the sun sets in the west, then we can see the new moon or slash new moon crescent. Now I can already hear for those who keep the full moon as their new moon day, y'all be like, no, she has to rise in the east. Okay. But Enoch, the prophet's telling you, yes, she is rising in the east, but she's along with the sun and she's traveling with the sun. And when the sun set in the west, this is how she become visible. Because it don't say in the morning she's visible. It said on that day she becomes visible. And I should put it right here so people can really see this. Like I said, we got to take our time with these scriptures here. Okay. So it's saying that on that day, okay, so I'm gonna put right here, on that day she become visible. Okay. Or becomes, I'm sorry, becomes visible. It don't tell you she become visible in the morning. It just said that she become visible on that day. So the timing of this to happen is at sundown. And the reason is we know from the prophets, from the most high prophets, that the sun is the greater light. Therefore, no other light will outshine him. Okay. So until he go down, then you can see what? The lesser light, which is the moon. All right. So now we got all that clarified. So we know the first phase. Oh, another thing the Father want me to bring out with the full moon. Notice that here in this verse it said the first phase of the moon on the 30th day together with the sun in the door where the sun rises. Okay. So on a full moon day, do the sun rise with the full moon on this day? No. The sun is actually going down while the moon is rising. Okay, so I'm just put this here. There's a lot of people gonna have questions about this and get it confused. Okay. But when you read Enoch's writings, you're going to learn that when the moon is rising on this full moon day, she is across from the sun. She's the opposite side of the sun. So she is rising and he is going down. She's not rising with him, y'all. You have something opposite taking place. So on a full moon day, the moon is rising in the is rising, okay, in the east, while the sun is going down in the west. And these lights are opposite one from another. Very important. Now we're going to go to verse 5. Verse 5. We'll bring this up so y'all can see this part. Okay? And you know what? While I'm on this page, y'all, let me go ahead and copy and paste this precept to what I just typed, because it says here, she becomes full moon exactly on the day when the sun sets. Do y'all hear that? She's a full moon exactly on the day when the sun sets in the west. Do you see how 12 is separated from 13? Okay, so it's already telling you here that the full moon is not the new moon day. All right, but it said that she becomes full moon exactly on the day when the sun sets in the west, and from the east she rises at night, and the moon shines the whole night through until the sun rises over against her, and the moon is seen over against the sun. So what does this say unto you? On a full moon day, she rises in the east, and the sun is in the west going down. She is the brightest on this day, for she is full of light, and she traveled from east to west. So when the sun rises in the east, she is going down in the west, and them two lights are across from one another. Okay? So this is your precept right here. So this is why I tell my family, y'all need to make time to go out and look at the heavens, because I know it's 3 days in a calendar month that it can look like it's a full moon day, but it's not the full moon day. And again, the prophets tell you what a full moon day is. Okay? So this is your precept to what I just typed. So the first phase of the moon on the 30th day together with the sun in the door where the sun rises is, you have to see okay, I know why I typed that. I was thinking of a particular door, but you have to go back and review First Enoch chapter 72. So that's what I'm gonna put here. Review First Enoch chapter 72. Okay, to get that to see what doors the sun come in and out of when it's in its months, because it's going to be some variation between the moon and the sun. But wherever door that sun is coming out of, that is the same door the moon will come out of. Remember, the he leads the way, and then the she follows. Okay, even though they may not be on the same day, even on the same month, but the moon follow the he. That is the order of things. So the moon followed the sun. Okay. On what door it or the sun come out of. Okay. That's how you know what door she's going to come out of on her 30th day. So you have to write it out. Now we can go to verse 5. Verse 5. Let me blow this up. Sorry about that. I should have blown it up. Okay, verse 5. And the one half of her goes out by a seven part, and her whole disk is empty, without light, with the exception of 1/7 part of it and the 14th part of her light. Now, with this verse, the way it's translated, it can be confusion. You probably saying, what is this saying unto me? So we really have to take our time and break this apart. But before I go back to the note page, I'm going ahead and read verse 6 unto you because I want to read 5 and 6 together. Okay, let me read 5 and 6 together. So verse 6, and when she receives, 1/7 part of the half of her light amounts to the 1/7 part and the half thereof. So I know that verse is saying a lot because we are getting back into some math. So for today, we're going to focus on verse 5 and then we're going to wrap it up. And then when we get back, according to the Most High will, we're going to look at 6, 7, and 8, hopefully together to get the full picture. But right now we're going to look at verse 5. So to read it in another translation, this is another translation that I went to by, I think this was by Charles. That's where I got it from. I'm just pulling this up so you can see who had translated this version of Enoch. Okay, so site's not coming up. So I'm just going to go with what we got for right now. I think his name is Charles. I just can't remember his last name, y'all. But it says, according to the way he translated, and the one half of her goes forth by a 7 part, and her whole circumference is empty, without light, with the exception of 1/7 part of it and the 14th part of her light. You probably saying, oh my God, what does this say unto us? So we're going to take our time and break this down. So looking at the verses we read already from verse 1 to 5, this is what we know. We know that a full moon is when she's what? Full of light and she's 100% illuminated. We also know that when she is a full moon, her light equals to a 7 part. Okay? A 7 part. All right? That's what her light equals to. It equals to a 7 part of the light of the sun. And how we got that precept is from 1 Enoch chapter 72, verse 37. 1 Enoch chapter 72, verse 37. And also when you read higher up, you will see it again. Okay? So remember, we're dealing with circles. we're dealing with spears or balls. So it's like taking a circle and you taking a pie and you putting seven, you making the pie to become into seven slices or to seven parts. Okay, so that's why I gave you this diagram here so you can see what this is talking about. Now, this question that I'm about to ask you, because this is something that you should know when you watch the heavens, okay, and from studying from the prophets as well in the Gentile writings. What else we know about the full moon day? We do know what day she will be a full moon day because it's 2 days that the prophets give unto us on what day she's a full moon day. Okay. And that is the 14th day and then the 15th day. And I'm going to put or because people don't understand you can only have one full moon day. So it is going to be either your 14th day that month or the 15th day. Another proof or a hint should be for you that there are two solemn feast days that begins on a full moon day, and that is what? Passover, okay, known as Peshat, trying to get my thing to undo it because my cursor will jump, okay, known as Peshat. I know I didn't spell that right. And a sign of this was blood moon. Well, I better put this. I'll put this below so it won't be so choppy. Okay. As far as your 15th day, the feast day I'm talking about is Feast of Tabernacles or Sukkot. And a sign that would prove this, you have to look at the 4 blood moons in 2014 to 2015. These are heathens dates, okay? Because you must know this. The Most High year starts from what? 2014 to 2015, then 2015, 2016. Okay. But because we deal with the heathens calendar, how they had their year label is from 2014 to 2015. So the 4 blood moons, another thing they would say is the tetrad. Okay. That is assigned to you. Now there are other records of blood moons, like 4 blood moons occurring that occur on a solemn feast day or a holy feast day unto Yah. So now that we know this, this is something else we know. We know that a full moon only happens. This is the day when she's the brightest and when she's the fullest of the light. Okay. It's only on the 14th day and the 15th day. And the reason is it goes back to Genesis 1:14. Remember, these lights are to be what? Signs unto us. Confirmation. Okay. So the next question you need to ask yourself, how many days are in the moon month? So that was the what I was talking about earlier, looking at First Enoch chapter 74, verse 14. So we're gonna go to that those notes right quick. Because we had talked about this in a prior video. We was looking at the 358 rule. So that's taking a while to come up because I know these notes are in detail, but I want to show you the mathematical formula. So this is why in our time now, because remember, in the beginning of all this, some things change. But in our time now, and I love Joseph. Let's see, no, this was somebody else. But anyway, Joseph Lumpkin also have this same image in his copy of the book too. Okay. But when we go to First Enoch chapter 74, looking at verse 14 here, Enoch is giving you some numbers, and when you calculate these numbers out, he's giving you the total number of days of the moon. Okay. So as you see what I had showed y'all in the notes, that when the moon was perfect, she had 1,080 days. But because of the fall of man, a lot of things change, not suddenly, but over in the gradual course of time. So now the moon can have what, 355 or 54, and I can't remember if it's 356. But you know, those who keep a record, just go back to your record so you can see how many days is usually fall in the moon's year. Okay. But we're going to go by what Enoch have at this time so you can see the calculation or the formula. So it was given unto Enoch from my Father in heaven that in 3 years the moon will have 1,062 days. If I would break that down to see how many days the moon had in its months for 3 years, all I did was take 3 times 12, what? Equals 36 months. I have to figure out how many months are in 3 years. Once I did that, I took the 36 months and divided into the 1,062 days. And when I did that, I got this number, 29 and a half days. 29 and a half days. If you take this time 12, you get 354. So most of us are seeing what, either 354, 355 in the moon year. And I do know, I can't remember what I saw, 356. I don't know if I saw it in Enoch's writings or in my calendar records, but there can be a time I think she can be 356. But for right now, what we are getting, we get 354, 355. Even in the Gentiles, okay, even in the Gentiles right here, books or information, they get that a moon month, when you look at an exact time, is about 29.53 days. 29.53 days. Okay. Far as the full moon, in this article of Wikipedia under lunar phase, the Gentiles have also, let me see, trying to see where I found it at. It might be in this paragraph, but before I start reading, I just want to make sure. Just give me a second, y'all. I'm still looking. Right here, if you look on a calendar, it's going to say again that the moon month equals about 29.53 days, and that its year lasts about 354 or 355. Okay. For it to complete its what, revolution, or to complete its circuit. Okay. So let me go back up. So in this article, it does talk about the calculation, but they are calculating from a dark moon, y'all. So this is why I'm seeing where they would say the longest duration between the full moon to new moon. Remember, they're calculating from a dark moon, or new moon to full moon lasts about 15 days and 14 half hours. Okay. So this is how they're calculated part from a dark moon to a full moon. However, when you calculate correctly, you'll probably get 14 to 15 days. Okay. Let me see if I can find it under full moon. Here you go. So under full moon, I'm going to have to add this article right here. Even in the Gentile writings, right here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to highlight this whole paragraph so you can see for yourself. Even the Gentiles, what their knowledge that they have of the moon, are saying about the same thing as the Father's prophets. But you know, the Father prophets have a higher seniority. You know, they are his mouthpiece. But I'm just showing you what even the Gentiles come to, because they said what? Here, the full moon falls on either the 14th or 15th day of the lunar month. And it goes on to say, because a calendar month consists of whole number days. See, they don't calculate exact timing, okay? Because we round up. We either round up or round down, right? Because we count whole number of days, a month in a lunar calendar may be either 29 or 30 days long. Okay? All right, so I will be adding this article to the note sheet. But I got it from Full Moon under Wikipedia. Okay? So I'm going to close this out. And put that in our notes. So that was another confirmation. Okay? So these are what we know again. Just a quick review to understand what verse 5 is saying unto us. We know when the moon is 100% illuminated, or when she's a full moon, on that day, her light in comparison to the sun is 1/7 part of the sun's light. So she's 1/7 bright compared to the sun brightness. For the sun is what? 7 times brighter than the moon. Do y'all see how the Father working the number 7? But let us keep going. Then we also know that a full moon day, or for a moon to be a full moon, will occur on its 14th or 15th day in its calendar month. So we have confirmation from the Father's prophet, as well as the Gentiles are coming in saying the same thing. Then we also know this, that the number of days in the moon month, when we look at the formulas that was given unto Enoch, we learned that it's about 29.5. Okay, so some months, because we do whole calendar months, we don't do exact timing. Some months would be 29 and some months would be 30. The next thing that we know, that the moon is a disc, a circle, or a sphere, and the visible month. So the one that the phase that is the visible month is dealing with your crescent phase, where my cursor is. Now, because this is coming from from the Gentiles' knowledge, they have the dark moon in the wrong line. Your dark moon should be down here, because according to the prophets of Yah, the new crescent moon is the first phase of the moon. For on that day she is traveling with the sun, and you will see her on that day when the sun goes down. Okay? That's how we see her. So that is your first phase in this month. So as time go on, then you have a full moon day. That is the mid part of the month. Okay? That's when she's very bright on that day. Then as time go on, she's decreasing her light until she becomes a disk with no light upon her. And according to his prophets, when there's no light upon her, and that meaning that we won't be able to see her in the heaven, that is the end of the month. Okay? I'll make it that simple. And we'll talk about this calendar format because you're going to need this calendar format to help understand some math that we're about to do. But this calendar format is going to come more in handy with the other verses. Okay? So what I did here to figure out what does it mean that half of the moon goes out or forth by a seven part what or what. So the way I do, so with this verse, it's talking about light. So we have to break this verse up because there's a lot of comments in this verse. Okay, so half of a moon we know is what 50% illuminated or 50% of light, known as a half moon. And to compare that to the sun's light, I did a little math, y'all, because I wanted to know what's the breakdown of that. And the breakdown of that, when the moon is half in light or 50% illuminated, you have to get your fraction or your part. So remember, I show you a disc made with 7 parts right here, 7 slices. And we know the moon takes her light from the sun, so she's given a 7 part of that sun's light to be in her. Okay, so we know that. Now, for her to be 50% or half in light, I know that 7 part is going to what? Decrease. Not increase, but decrease because she's taking in a less amount of light. She's not a full moon. She's a half moon, right? So what is going to happen with your pie, you're going to have more slices because she's taking a lesser part of light. All right? A lesser part of light. She's not to her fullness. She's taking a lesser part of light. So to do this math equation and how I got that the moon would be 1/14th part of the light of the sun, this is what you have to do. You have to take half because she's only 50% of light. She's only what? Half lit it. You have to take half of the 1/7 part because we know the 1/7 part is what? A full moon. So we know that 1/7 is what? A full moon. So to be half of that, when you do your math and you know with fractions, you can multiply numerators and denominator. They don't have to be the same. So when I took half of the 1/7, because of means to multiply, I got 1/14 because 1/7 times 1/2 will equal 1/14. So instead of having 7 slices in that pie, y'all, I'm going to split that 7 in half again. I'm going to take every slice in that pie and split it in half. For example, let's go back up here because I'm taking half. This slice become a half, this slice become a half, this slice become a half, and it will continue until we get to the complete disc. So when we take each slice and make it to the half, you're going to get what? 14 parts or 14 slices. So when the moon is what? 50% half in light, she is 1/14th part of the sun's light now because she has not reached to its fullest. So conclusion of this, we added 7 more parts because a decrease in light/simulation by a seventh part of the moon. The pie or circle is divided into more parts or slices. This is why it's so important to write this down, because when you see it, you begin to understand it. So when she's a half moon, she's going to take one slice of 14 parts or 14 slices of light from the sun. Okay? So when we look at that sentence again, when we look at that sentence above, it also goes on to say the moon whole disk is empty. So you need to ask yourself, what did that mean? Empty of what? What is it? What it is empty of? Let's go back to verse 5, because it's going to tell us what it's empty of. Because remember, it has a lot of commas here. And her whole disk is empty. Okay? Empty. And it's going to define what emptiness is, because we got two commas here. So it's telling us that her whole disk is empty because she's without light. Okay? So that's that one part. She's without light. We've highlighted and put it in red. With the exception of 1/7 part of what? I want you to meditate on that. I'm just looking for a format I need to do here. Where did I go? Okay, so with the exception, that means not including of the 7 part of, see, and I put a note here, see verse 3. What is that 7 part? Okay, another way to look at exception is excluded. Okay, excluded. Okay, so we're going to exclude of her having the 1/7 part of light and the 14th part of the moonlight. Okay, we'll go back to verse 3. So the 7 part that is talking about the 7 part of the light of the sun. Let me go back so you can see where I got that from, because I may have moved my cursor too fast. In verse 3, it says that her light is uniformly, completely full. It amounts to the 7 part of the light of the sun. This is where I'm getting it from. Verse 3. Okay. So 1/7 part of Let's put this in blue and highlight it. Oh, they done took out my little, you know what? So let me do it again. We're going to do it in blue and we're going to highlight it. So the 1/7 part, now this is excluding this part, okay, of the light. Oh, I forget my caps is on. The light of the sun, okay, and the 14th part of the moon's light. So we're going to summarize this again. When we go back to verse 5, for it say, and her whole disk is empty, meaning that she's going to be without light. No light will be upon her, with the exception or excluding the time when she has what? 1/7 part of it. What is 1/7 part of it? The light that she receives from the sun, and the 14th part of her light. Now, the 14th part of her light, for the time being, I know when you read this, you might think about it's dealing with her being a half moon right here. The 14th part of her light. Something like that. Let's go ahead and put that in red. No, I don't want to put in red or blue. We're going to highlight that in blue, a light blue. And we're going to highlight the 1/7 part in the light blue. So to sum verse 5, here's the summary of this. When she, when she go out forth, y'all, on that day, she becomes what? A half moon. Okay? She becomes a half moon. And when she's a half moon, she only have a 7 part of a 7 part. I'm sorry. When she's a half moon, she only have a half of a 7 part of light upon her. Okay? Then it goes on to say, the moon whole disk is empty, meaning that her disk is empty of light. There's no light upon her. With the exception, that means it doesn't include these two phases here. Okay? It doesn't follow that rule. Exclude it or don't follow that command. Okay? Or rule. Or I shouldn't say don't follow. It's not under that command. Okay? Let's put not under that particular instruction. Not under that command or rule. When she in that phase, when she have light. Okay? So when she's in that phase, when she has light, she's a full moon of the 7 part. Okay. So when the disk is empty, she has no light. And when she's empty, she's known as what? The dark moon. Okay. For she's empty of light. Now, excluding that, now I'm sorry. With the exception, y'all, I'm trying to keep this where you can really see what I'm seeing now. With the exception, that means when it comes to this part of her, that part of her is not under that command or rule. Okay. With the exception, or not, or with the, or excluding this part, when she has 1/7 part of light upon her, that light is the light of the sun, making her what? A full moon. I'm gonna put this in blue so you can see this. Okay. So 1/7 part of the light of the sun, she is a full moon. Now when we get to the 14th part of the moon's light, this is dealing with this formula here that we just went over. I need to make a correction, y'all. With this 14th part of the moonlight, I'm going to hold off defining that because I do know there's a couple verses below that's like a precept to this verse here, and I don't want to give you something that's incorrect. So let me hold off on that, and we'll come back to that in the next class section. Okay? So we'll come back to that because I want to clarify it. Because based on this verse alone, based on the calculation I did, it's easy to think that it could be talking about a half a moon. Because when we do the calculation, we get a half moon is what 1/14 part of the sun's light. Okay. But we're going to come back to address verse 5. So I'm going to make a note to myself to do that. I'm just reading something right quick, y'all, just to make sure. Okay. Yeah, we're going to come back to verse 5 to address that part to make sure if that 14th part of her light is being referenced to the half moon, or is it talking about something else that I'm thinking about? Because y'all, I'm thinking about something else, but it's further down into those chapters. So I just want to clarify that. Okay. So let's just summarize everything so you have everything clear and you have everything correct for what we have so far, dealing with verse 5. So in verse 5, it said 1/2 of her goes out by a 7 part. Okay. Goes out or goes forth. Okay. So she goes forth with what? A 7 part of the sun's light. Okay. So she's already come in with a seventh part of the sun's light. Then it has a comma. That means we got to pause. It's giving us another phase of her. And then it goes on to say, and her whole disk is empty without light. So it's telling us or giving us the definition of what the whole disk is empty mean. That means she has no light upon her. With the exception, okay, or under the exclusion, okay, when she has light upon her is when she has what? 1/7 part of light from the sun and the 14th part of light, 14th part of her light upon her. Okay. So as we read further down, because this is going to tie over to chapter 74, and then it's some other chapters we got to look at too, dealing with the phases of the moon. Okay. So we're going to get clarification about this 14th part because I am thinking about something else, and I just want to make sure I'm not giving you the incorrect information because this could be talking about the 14th part or of the half moon because the half moon is a 14th part of the sun's light, or it could be talking about the other 14 parts that I'm thinking about. So we'll come back to that for clarification. So I'm going to make a note in my sheet to clarify this part in verse 5. So when we come back together, we will have it clarified or in the next following videos because there's some other chapters that would tie into this. All right, this concludes the lesson for today. I hope y'all enjoy it. I know there's some math involved, and I know that, when it comes to math, it's not everybody's favorite subject. But I hope the diagrams help you to really understand and see what the prophet has written unto you about the moon and her being the lesser light or the smaller light in comparison to the sun. For it's very important to understand her phases because as you see by understanding her phases, you will know where you at in the month of the Most High calendar. Also, by understanding her path, how she moves with the sun, and her positioning to the sun when we look in the heavens in the first firmament will also give you understanding or knowledge where we at in the month. For example, on the new moon day, we just learned that on that day she's traveling with the sun. She's going from the east to the west. And when the sun go down, this is why we can see her then, because the brighter light has went down, has went through the door to the left. We also learned that when she's a full moon, she's going to be across from the sun or opposite of the sun, meaning that she will be full of light. She'd be the brightest on that day, and she'll be rising in the east, and the sun would be in the west, and the sun would be going down in the west. And then the full moon's going to shine all night long, y'all, all night long until the sun rises in the east. And then the moon is going to be in the west. Again, these two lights going to be across from one another, right? So they're not going to be traveling together. All right. So she's going to be in the west, and the sun going to be in the east when a new day is not a new day, y'all. When the light is coming in, okay, or when morning is coming in, okay. So it's very important to understand her path and her direction as we see, because by knowing that, you'll know where you at in the month. You'll know if you're in the beginning of the month, or if you're in the middle part of the month, or whether you're in the end of the month. Very important. All right. Hope y'all enjoy this. And remember to seek out Yahuwah to understand these mysteries. You got to ask yourself, why there is a ring of light around a moon being formed within these circles? Why do we see a ring of light? A ring of light. Again, Enoch, his prophets are giving you those mysteries to understand them. All right, my brothers and sisters, continue to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, for it's true at hand. Make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10 and baptize the people in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach. For the Lamb set the example of the water baptism, the Holy Spirit baptism, and he made it so simple for us. For if you have no one to do these things or give these spiritual things unto you, guess what? The Father made it easy. For the water is the second witness in the earth. The earth is a witness. The heavens is a witness. And you can baptize yourself. All you have to do is exercise your faith with works. Okay? That's it. That simple. Far as the Holy Spirit baptism, Father had told us through his Son and through those disciples, all we have to do is ask our Father in heaven in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, and he shall give it unto you according to your faith, your heart, and your words. Just that simple, y'all. Love you all, and shalom.